And we welcome you back to KCBD Now, our new program right here on KCBD.com. You can get it all over the internet, all over various platforms, and that's another thing that has changed, all the different ways we can get this program and others. James Eppler is my guest, Fox 34 anchor in the morning. He's done that morning show for a very long time, 18 years.
Well, Good Day Lubbock's been on the air 18 years
Yeah.
as of October 3rd, technically, because the first 2 days we did Good Day Lubbock back in 2007, we debuted on the Jewelry Channel.
Oh,
which,
really?
Which is like a QVC type channel that used
Yeah.
to broadcast out of this building.
Yeah.
So we practiced the first couple days. On the second day, we got a call from a viewer saying, "When are you going to put my jewelry back on the Jewelry Channel?"
Complaining.
And I'm
Yeah.
holding the phone like this because that's how old it was. But anyway,
gosh, that's-
so hopefully she's got her Jewelry Channel back. but
Yeah.
18 years later.
Oh my gosh, that's funny. You mentioned your passion for entertainment, for movies. You continue that passion, don't you?
Absolutely.
You love going to. Now, what do you do when you go to a movie, James? Do you sit there with a notebook and take notes, or what do you do?
I used to take a notepad. I mean, I've been reviewing movies in Lubbock since 2001 for various publications, but also here at the station. It's just kind of like a fun side thing I do. I used to take notes, but then found that takes you out of the movie on some level when you're stopping to write something. I decided a long time ago, if I'm going to remember something about the movie, I just need to remember it. Otherwise, it wasn't good enough to remember. So I like to get lost in a movie and not think about, what am I going to say about this later? My wife knows whenever we go to a movie together, she won't ask me right after we're leaving, "What did you think?" Because she knows I need to kind of let it
You're
marinate.
processing it, yeah.
And my son is the same way. We'll talk a little bit. Now, I will tell you, sometimes you know right away. I took my son to see The Odyssey, and as soon as the end credits started rolling, he didn't look at me. He just held up his hand. That was awesome.
That was it. That was
Yeah.
it. So Odyssey was a hit, according to Jameson, and you?
I think it's very good. I've seen
Okay.
it 2 times now. I would go see it a 3rd time. I think it's just one of those really ambitious
Yeah.
cinematic experiences. No one's ever put The Odyssey in its entirety, so at least pretty close to it, on screen before. We've had little pieces of it adapted. So it's pretty impressive if you've not seen it. And it's made more than $1 billion now. So if you haven't seen it, you're one of the only ones at this point.
You know what's interesting is I was texting last night with Rachel Reagan, who I used to co-anchor with, and you know
Sure.
Rachel well, and we used to work with Rachel. She's now in San Francisco, and I was telling her that you were my guest. And she wrote back and she said, "Ask James what he thinks of The Odyssey."
Yeah.
And so that was one of her questions.
Let me tell you what a dork I am for movies, okay? So you've heard about IMAX screenings of The Odyssey. And
Right.
of course, Lubbock does have an IMAX screen, but The Odyssey was shot on film, on IMAX 70 millimeter film, which has never been done before because it's a huge pain to shoot a movie that way. There are only about 25, 30 theaters in the country that can show The Odyssey in IMAX 70 millimeter on film. Giant platters with film on them, about 11 miles worth of tape that they
Wow.
feed through. So the closest one to us in Lubbock is in Dallas. So my son and I went and watched
did?
it in 70 millimeter, and so that's just what a dork I am, is I will actually travel to watch a movie I've already seen
Yeah.
that way.
I'm impressed.
Yeah.
Now, number one right now is not Odyssey.
No,
it's actually
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man.
That was
Yeah.
always expected, but it's
Yeah.
been a monster movie. It's closing in on $2 billion after just a couple of weeks in release. It now has a lot of the IMAX screens, and I think even if you're not a big Marvel head, I think you can go into that movie and have a good time. My parents went and saw it last weekend. It's just a good story. And I know a lot of studio attention is going to be on Tom Holland for an Oscar nomination for The Odyssey. I'd push for one for Spider-Man.
Is that right?
It's time for that genre to really be legitimized. And of course, Heath Ledger won an Oscar for The Joker. And
Right.
there have been some others, but I think an Oscar nomination for Tom Holland for Spider-Man makes a lot of sense.
Now, it's a little unusual to have two amazing and both of them are over $1 billion, aren't they?
And Toy Story 5
And
over
Toy
$1
Story
billion.
5 has done well, yeah.
So it's been a great thing as someone who's passionate about the movies, and especially going to the movies, to see these huge hits. And it's really a cultural event, because if you're on social media, there's a ton of talk about The Odyssey and Spider-Man and things like that. and it's something that we're all experiencing together. Add to that a little movie called Obsession that was made for $750,000 has now made half a billion.
Incredible.
Yeah.
To make a movie for that.
It was on a shoestring budget because the filmmaker is a YouTuber, so they know how to shoot cheap.
Yeah.
So he wrote and directed this little horror movie, and it's made almost $500 million. And again, another kind of cultural moment. So the movies are back.
Oh, they are. I mean, for a long time, or when video first started coming out, we had Blockbuster Video on you.
I worked at Hollywood Video for 7 years.
Did you really?
I did. I managed a few stores here in Lubbock. Yeah.
Okay. So at that time, the prediction was people won't go to theaters anymore. But now you have the lounge, you have the vibrating seat, the heated seat. We had that in McKinney, by the way. And you have all these different things to get people there. But there's nothing like seeing it on a big screen. You've got to have the big screen, don't you?
I think even for small movies, small independent movies, every movie is better on the big screen. And people said that when Netflix started streaming everything, I'm like, well, that's the end of movie theaters. It turns out if you just make good movies that people want to watch and tell good stories, they'll go.
Right. And you enjoy watching it with other people, hearing the reaction.
Yeah.
That's fun, too.
Is there anything better than watching a great comedy or a great horror movie in a theater where you're all experiencing this emotion together? You're laughing together. You feed off the energy of the crowd, almost like a good concert sometimes.
Right, exactly, like live theater. Yeah,
yes, it's the best.
It is more fun. Where does your love of movies start?
Well, I couldn't point to one specifically. I remember the first movie I was ever taken to that I can remember was at the South Plains Mall. Remember when we had a theater there?
Right.
It was a movie you can't even see anymore, a movie that Disney has tried to pretend never happened. It's called Song of the South. Do you remember this movie?
I do not remember Song of the South.
That's what Disney wants. Disney wants you to forget that movie exists, but it's very much playing on the Uncle Remus stories and some serious out-of-touch racial connotations. And so Google it, but it's a movie Disney wants you to forget. I remember seeing it, though, because there were animated characters interacting with real people, kind of like Mary Poppins.
Yeah.
And for some reason, I've always just been obsessed with movies. The biggest fights I ever had with my dad as a teenager wasn't about I did drugs or I stayed out too late. It's, Dad, I'm old enough to see a PG-13 movie on my own now. Why are you doing this to me?
There you go.
That was always the biggest arguments we always had.
Interesting.
Yeah.
You know, you're talking about being a movie geek. I'm a geek for old movies. I am a Turner Classic Movies fan, James. I love the old actors. I love that time period. Katharine Hepburn, Spencer Tracy, just all those, Cary Grant. Cary Grant, great at comedy and drama.
Philadelphia Story. All day.
Story. Yeah,
Jimmy
terrific.
Stewart.
Right, Jimmy Stewart's another one.
Yeah.
Those really get me going. And one of the differences, I think, now you have a lot of special effects in the movies. At that time, you didn't have the special effects as much. It was the story. And you had great stories that you watched.
You did have special effects just in a different way than we're used to.
Totally, yeah.
Everything was done in camera. Not to bring it back to The Odyssey, but The Odyssey is a movie that did most of its special effects practically, like the old days.
It's like the old days.
Ben-Hur, 10 Commandments, things like that. So that stuff is still possible, but you're right, all the CGI stuff. I would argue, though, and I'd push back a little bit, I love Westerns, too.
Yeah.
The old Westerns.
Yeah.
I mean, Jimmy Stewart made some great Westerns.
He did. John Wayne.
Of course. I mean, The Searchers.
She wore a yellow ribbon.
The Searchers is number one for me. But I would argue the current superhero movies are the modern day Westerns. They follow some of the same story ideas and tropes and things like that. But you're right. They can almost get too bogged down in special effects and slop, maybe.
Yeah.
And maybe less. So that's why I think the best superhero movies are character-driven movies. The new Spider-Man's very much that way.
Yeah, and that's good. I like to see us returning to that a little bit.
Not to make you feel older than you are, but
it's all right. I can handle it.
when we talk about Turner Classic Movies, they're putting movies from the 80s and 90s on there now.
Yeah.
And now I'm starting to...
I know.
Oh, The Breakfast Club is on Turner Classic
Yeah.
Movies. Oh no, what's happening?
I used to think that anything that wasn't in black and white wasn't a true old movie. That's not true anymore because just like you said, we're getting some of those in there.
We had color in the late 30s.
We did. That's exactly right. And I like to watch movies in the 30s. In fact, one of the things I look for is special effects, movies in the 30s. You'll see an airplane and you can tell it's a model that's like on a little string.
Yeah,
Going
like
through the air.
like the old episodes of Star Trek.
Exactly.
Sure.
Yeah. It's fun to watch. Now, this is a tough question, I know, because you watch
let me get
so
ready.
many movies over so many years. Do you have a number one?
Sure. My number one movie is called The Big Lebowski.
Okay.
It's a Coen Brothers movie with Jeff Bridges and John Goodman and John Turturro and Julianne Moore. And I always loved detective movies. You talk about old movies.
Yeah.
Maltese Falcon, things like that with Humphrey Bogart, and even Chinatown with Jack Nicholson. I always just loved detective stories and what we call noir. The Big Lebowski is, okay, what if we take a detective movie, but he is a stoner in California and he's kind of accidentally trying to solve a mystery and doesn't really want to solve the mystery. Somebody just peed on his rug and he wants to get the rug replaced. But it's such a brilliant examination of modernizing noir and Westerns in a certain way, but a brilliant performance from Jeff Bridges, great, well-drawn characters, weird movie, takes some strange turns. John Goodman as a Vietnam veteran still dealing with PTSD, but trying to help solve this mystery, but everything's filtered through Vietnam. I can't say enough. If you've ever seen The Big Lebowski, 1998 film, treat yourself.
You mentioned John Goodman. John Goodman's had some incredible roles, really. Wasn't he King Ralph?
Yeah, that was the first John Goodman movie I saw,
He was
actually.
King Ralph,
Yeah.
and just did a number of them that in different roles.
So, of course, Roseanne, the sitcom, was really where he got. But then when he transitioned to movies, he made some really interesting choices. He's done a number of movies with the Coen brothers. Or Brother, Where Art Thou is another one he did with them. More recently, he's done some really interesting. He's in a new movie with Tom Cruise this fall called Digger. That's a political comedy. He was in a show called The Righteous Gemstones for HBO. That's very much a kind of making fun of the megachurch complex. I wouldn't say it's making fun of religion. I'd say it's making fun of the megachurch phenomenon, which I grew up in and hit a little close to home.
I
I'm
bet it
telling
did,
you.
yeah.
But what an interesting actor he is. Yeah.
I'm a huge Billy Crystal fan.
Yeah.
And one of Billy Crystal's probably lesser known and less popular film is Mr. Saturday Night.
He wrote and directed that.
I think that's a classic.
It's really good.
It is really good. I've seen it multiple times. And Billy Crystal movies, they kind of have symbolism about life in them.
Yeah.
And that one has a lot. It's about an aging comedian who his best days are behind him.
Yeah.
And it's really special. But I love the movies that give you a lot to think about.
You're right about Billy Crystal and some of those movies he made in the 90s. That was a late 90s movie.
Right.
My introduction to Billy Crystal was City Slickers.
Yep, that's
which
right.
is another movie about dealing with middle age and the malaise that comes with that. And watching that movie now, I think Billy Crystal was in his late 30s when he made that. I'm 44. When I watch that movie now, it means a lot different to me than it did when I was 12 when I saw that.
Yeah.
I get it.
Was it City Slickers 1 where there's just one thing?
Yes, there's one thing. Find that one
thing.
thing. It's a
Right.
conversation he has with Bruno Kirby in the movie.
Right.
I don't acknowledge City Slickers 2, The Search for Curly's Gold.
Yeah.
We don't acknowledge that film.
Many sequels don't hit the mark. But you're talking about Toy Story. Now, Toy Story, to get to number 5, I haven't seen 5 yet.
Yeah.
I've seen the first 4. Yeah. Of course, when you're a dad, you see a lot of those. But it's amazing that they're still going at number 5, isn't it?
You've got good characters.
Yeah,
and
you
keep
do.
coming up with good ideas. When I heard the news they were making a 5th one, it was kind of an eye roll, like, okay, but I did that with 4 too, and 4 was good. With 5 for Toy Story, they had the idea, what if we examine toys and technology and how children now are just in their screens or in their, if they have phones, God forbid, when they're little, so much of their attention is there. And what does it mean for a child to grow up too fast in the world of technology when they've got great toys to play with right here? Toy Story 5 is also a girl-coded movie. The first four really deal with male characters, and Andy, of course, in the first three. This fifth Toy Story movie is very much a Jessie movie, the character voiced by Joan Cusack. And so for them to make a girl Toy Story movie, I thought was a fabulous idea, and it works really well.
And Tom Hanks as Woody, of course, right?
And Tim Allen is
And
back.
Tim
So
Allen.
you get the gang
Yeah.
back together, you make $1 billion, and that's how it goes.
You know, in the beginning, you didn't see the voices, or you didn't even know who the voices were behind characters. Now they're more open about who they are and what they do, and that takes a special actor to do that, which they are.
I think so. There was a time, and I guess I would probably point to Robin Williams in
I
Aladdin
was thinking about Robin Williams.
as
yeah.
maybe the greatest animated movie voice performance. And it was at that point where animated movies started casting big celebrities to do their voices. Because before that, in the older Disney movies, you probably couldn't name any of the actors who did the voice work
Right,
in
right.
Sleeping Beauty or Robin Hood or any of those. I mean, Robin Hood's one of my favorites. But after Robin Williams, they're like, you know, we can sell these movies now on big name actors. And all of a sudden, you've got Lion King, Jonathan Taylor Thomas, and James Earl Jones, and Jeremy Irons, and then James Woods, and Hercules, and now that's just all we know. And I feel a little bad because you're right, voice actors, very different performance style, and you feel a little bad that a lot of them aren't getting the work anymore.
Well, and Robin Williams ad-libbed a lot in Aladdin, and they kept a lot of his ad-libs in there because he was so amazing at that.
Brilliant. And
Yeah.
you could really invent an Oscars category for vocal performances because now not only do you have animated movies with great vocal performances, Eddie Murphy and Shrek, for example, but you now have performances that are being given through stop motion animation. Andy Serkis as Gollum in the Lord of the Rings movies, for example. And so you have a lot of these different types of performances that are being given that I think deserve the same consideration that others do.
Absolutely. We could talk movies all morning long,
Could.
as you can tell. It's fun to talk about movies. You mentioned Robin Hood. You could watch the different versions of Robin Hood movies through the years and learn a lot.
Errol Flynn, all the
Errol
way
Flynn
to
was my favorite. Errol Flynn, Olivia de Havilland. I mean, that was a great one.
yeah.
And you had some other great characters
Hey,
in there.
the Kevin Costner one is not good, but it
Yeah.
came out in 1991 when I was 10, right? And they had the toys connected to it. Boy, that was a big deal. And you only realize when you're an adult that, oh, this movie actually isn't very good. And,
you'll
you know,
get it.
Alan Rickman is giving some performance in a different movie or something, but it's good.
James Eppler has a lot of different sides, and we're going to talk about another one of your sides. That's right, both sides are good. We're going to talk about another one of those, and that is as a professor at Texas Tech. We'll talk
Yeah.
about that in a moment, okay?
Okay.
So we'll discuss that when we get back. You're watching KCBD Now, a new program right here on KCBD.com. James Eppler from Fox 34 is my guest. We'll be back with a final word as we explore more behind the scenes of James Eppler in just a moment.